Hello, I have here the LEGO Star Wars Cad Bane's Justifier. I bought this for $170 US and built the whole thing live over on my Twitch channel. The set comes with 1,022 pieces, 4 1/4 minifig, I'm going to call that because there's one little one-piece small droid there, but we'll take a closer look at all of those. First of all, just a quick look at this from some different angles in one of its forms. So this does have a major transformation feature, which does take up quite a bit of the interior space for the technical mechanisms for that transformation feature, but it's pretty straightforward in what it actually does. This is the flight mode right here with the engine pod all up high and proud and everything, but when it comes down to the ground, the engine pod actually gets closer to the ground. Let me take these minifigs out of the way just for the moment and do the transformation right now. That's it. That's the transformation to landed mode. This is its landing form. Engine just gets down closer, reduces the center of gravity. I don't know what the purpose in universe of that is, but here you do get the landing gear, the side landing gear coming down. So by default, it's like that. And there's a whole lot of stuff inside that makes that simple little thing right there happen. That's obviously completely not necessary for the toy, right? Because this works fine. There's also a landing skid on the back right here that this will supposedly stand on, but in reality, it's standing on the back of the engines. That's what these little bits here are what they're for. This is very easy to swoosh because it has a nice narrow section right here that's just well placed. The center of gravity is good there. I can just do this all day, even though it's a very large craft. It doesn't weigh as much, honestly, as I thought it would for its size. Yeah, and that's just good for play, to be able to just grab it and make it go. I like the shape of it. It makes it look like it wants to go. The angles that we don't usually see, especially not just the angles of the plates themselves, but the angles of their edges and the rows of studs here, I think is actually a little bit interesting. Just interesting to look at. You know, this feels a little bit different. I also like the black in this. Makes it look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more cool, a little bit darker in the evil sense, I think, than typical Star Wars gray stuff. And then looking in closer here, the canopy section up front is not the most accurate thing. Honestly, it doesn't bother me that much with these large sections of opaque, just black bricks right there. It definitely could have looked better than this, but honestly, from most distances, it doesn't bother me. You can't really see inside of this. It does use clear backed stickers. So this is an old 6-wide windscreen piece sideways. You put a clear back sticker right there. I didn't get all the bubbles out of it. Clear back sticker on this 1x2 brick right here, which is again trans black or trans dark brown. Same thing goes on the other side. It's completely mirrored. And then behind that, this is a huge piece with a single large sticker, which is again clear backed, but it is fully printed over. You see there's not a good color match between the sticker gray color and the natural color of the Lego bricks there. Again, doesn't bother me that much in this particular case, the way that color blocking works, but it should be better than that. Also, a sticker is used up here. Yeah, you get access to the interior of this by simply lifting the entire roof section, the forward roof section, off here. It's not even attached with any studs. Inside is space for a pilot figure right there who faces towards a console. It just has a couple of older plain 1x2 printed pieces in the front, just copied, just we've seen those a ton of times. Clips on the sides here to hold on to minifig accessories. A couple small crates down there to hold on to a little bit of cargo with a stack of thermal detonators, a single thermal detonator over there, and a lightsaber hilt. This does have enough space to have, like, I would say about 3 figures standing up, and there is enough height here for figures to full on stand up in here, which is a good thing because you would not want them to sit down. It's just a little bit difficult to get fingers in there because of all of that height. But yeah, you move stuff out of the way, easily 3. You can make more happen, but I wouldn't recommend trying too hard with it. It becomes difficult to get them out. This is a holding cell back here, so this is the area that's protected by a force field that just uses, well, you can see some scuffs on that, huh? A little bit of fingerprints as well, but mostly scuffs because that's what happens. But trans red color for this. They make it easy to remove so that you can place a single figure down there. You could potentially put multiple, but you don't want to get too brave with that space there because Even though you can access this from the top and a little bit from the front, there are open areas inside of there, and you can easily start to get things stuck back there. So be careful with that. Be wary of that, is my personal opinion. But I am glad that they did think about accessibility for us huge figures to do some stuff. With the roof put back on, I will point out that this area right here is not usable space underneath. So there's just mechanism for the engine and landing skid stuff. So you've got a couple of Technic beams here, and then it converts the motion over into axles that spin, and you can see some of that mechanism over here. So that's all part of that. It's actually the strut for the landing skid over here, and this is just used as accessible space to give you storage for a single extra spring-loaded shooter bolt, and the exact same thing is done on the other side. So not a whole lot of useful space there. The spring-loaded shooter is this one here. Again, same thing on the other side as well. Small thruster on the side there. This has some gappiness to it. It doesn't look too bad from most angles, honestly. What I definitely like most of this whole thing, again, is just this little greebolt area here, and the rest of it is, oh, just shot one of those bolts off. See down in there and stuff. Not the best use of space, that's for sure. Because again, there's nothing else that you can do with the fuselage. Just this section here, and then this is not usable. However, underneath here is a little bit of area down in that area where you can grab this for swishing it. This opens up like a little trunk in the back. Opens up, and there's a small little crate or a pallet in there. I don't remember exactly the significance of these things. Saw the Clone Wars episodes once, all of them once. I saw Bad Batch once, and I have not watched them again. It was quite some time ago, months ago, and I just haven't memorized everything. I don't live my life in this particular cartoon world because I'm busy making content for y'all. But this over here looks totally to me like a golden porg statue. Obviously 3 stickers used on the tops of those boxes right there. Again, the colors don't match that well, but it doesn't bug me that much in particular in this case. But the storage space is just the right size for this little 3x6. You can put I guess you can put a 4x6 in there. It's a little bit of extra depth in there. Maybe 4x8 at the most, I think. Pallet could be put in there. So this is, a trunk or a boot. One thing I want to especially call out here is an unexpected building technique for the engine inlets here. I thought that this was all a specialized piece, a new piece, or some piece that I just personally did not recognize, even when I saw this, when I encountered this in the instructions. However, it's not. This is a 4x6 black plate here mounted sideways, and on it are tiles. So right down the center spine of this is a single 2x6 tile pressed into the plate in between studs. A perfectly legal technique. It's always been a legal technique. A lot of people are super confused about that. You can press tiles in, and Lego's done it for decades. You can press tiles into studs. You cannot press plates into studs because that introduces some other issues where things can clash. But on the sides along here, to create these horizontal strakes, are 2x2 45-degree corner tiles pressed in the same way, just at a 90-degree angle to it. And I think that just makes for a really cool look, an interesting shape, an interesting resolution for that sort of shaping. And I dig it. It was a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. One of the big reasons people were looking forward to this set was the re-emergence of Cad Bane as an official figure from Lego. I think that this Cad Bane figure is very good. On the right is his little helper droid, that is, Toto 360. Real quickly, that Toto is nice and thin. They did have to have the large anti-stud at the base in order to, basically fit their standards for connections and everything, but they actually made that a pretty small piece for what it is. I'm happy about that. But the prints on this Cad Bane are good. I'm happy to see that the print for the face even is not too bad. It's opaque enough, I think, with the blue painted against the gunmetal gray color there. Definitely could have been worse. It can be a little bit better, but it could be a lot worse. The graphic design work, I think, is very, very nice through here. Of course, he has 2 pistols there, dark brown color for all the brown stuff that you see. The breathing apparatus stuff is a color that I've not seen from Lego in quite some time. It's the lighter flake in plastic, all one not coated type of silver color, like a bright silver color, which they really haven't done in quite some time. I don't know if that was intentional or is just an artifact of the fact that this is not ABS. It's actually a softer plastic material. It's a little bit more rubbery. I don't know if they were actually intending to be darker than that, but I like it. I think it works out well. I think a little bit darker would have been better for that piece, but it's pretty cool. And it's nice that they did something unique for that. Overall, good production values here, in my opinion. And that brings us to Hunter, Omega, potato, and Fennec Shand. The big deal here is Omega, who honestly we should have gotten in the Bad Batch shuttle set, to be part of the entire team, but I think they may have been worried about possible spoilers depending upon the release and set announcement time. I think it was a little bit close by long-term planning standards. Anyway, we finally get this one. Should have gotten it before. It's a pretty sharp-looking figure, though. A lot of contrast there, a lot of color. I like it. Not too much to be unhappy about there. I think that this face is not the best Legoification of the Omega face. I think the alternate face looks a little bit better. We'll look at that in just a second. This Hunter, I think, is pretty good. Some of the lines maybe could have been a little bit more crisp. Just the production value, I think, could have been a little bit better. I realize that some of it is supposed to look, done by hand, but just I don't know. Some of it could have been printed up a little bit better. But the Fennec Shand is sharp. That is really good, including even the orange printed against the black. Stands out well enough. The really fine lines in there. That's really the kind of detail that I personally like to see on a Lego set. And the black for the lower part of the helmet there, it doesn't move or anything, but it's produced really well. It's nice and dark and consistent. Just generally the mold work is good. Looking underneath these helmets, and back prints are very good as well. That's a good face. This, I think, is the better face. A better looking face. It looks more like Omega. Obviously a different expression, but looks more like her. The alternate Fennec face, maybe just if the dark red was printed at 0.2 millimeters higher or something like that, I think it would have been a little bit better. It's a little bit subtle, but it's okay. Really, really strong for Hunter there. Really strong for Hunter here as well. Just generally good production values. And thank goodness in this set, they did include, in addition to the headgear pieces, the regular helmet pieces, they did include hair pieces for both Hunter and Fennec Shand. Thank you. This is what Lego should always do for mainline characters that need to be seen helmet on and helmet off, both. Yes, this should be absolutely standard. I still don't think that's the most convincing hair piece for Fennec Shand, but it'll do. And it's a heck of a lot better than nothing. So yes, thank you, Lego, for including these. Continue to do that always. Finally, these here are the leftover pieces, not too much to that. And then the sticker sheet looked like this and this. Well, this is why I buy these sets, so that I can have the thing in front of me in person. I can put my hands on it. I can see the size. I can swoosh it. I can look inside of it. I can put my hands in there to figure out how much space, to really understand how much space is in it. And also so that I can feel the pain in my wallet hole of actually paying $170 for this. So first of all, on the first point, this isn't as bad as I thought. When I looked at the pictures, I was like, this is very, very underwhelming. Yes, in person it is big. I saw that coming, but it doesn't look quite as boring to me as it did in the pictures when I really, after going through the process of building it and looking at it from some different angles. It's definitely unfinished in some ways, but not too many unforgivable ways. However, the price of $170 still hurts a lot and does not make sense to me personally. This has 1,022 pieces. That is, 98 pieces, I think? More than the Scythe, the Inquisitor transport Scythe, which was $100 US. This is $170 US. That one's $100 US. And the usability and playability of that one is about the same as this. Doesn't have this action feature, but it's got just folding wings instead. Okay. Similar carrying capacity and everything. This easily could have been smaller, in my opinion. I feel like there's a ton of wasted space here, a ton of wasted mass. Although mass-wise, again, it's not that heavy. It's kind of hollow, which is not bad for swishing. It doesn't feel like there were pieces put in here that were not needed, except for the things that give you that action. Just moving the skids up and down. So much was used for that. So much space was used for that, and takes so much away from this, in my personal opinion. Also, given that, okay, this is something that they needed to do canonically. This is something that they absolutely needed to do canonically, but then you don't have the whole lower horn, the whole lower portion of this strut sticking down the way that you should. So you're not even really getting the full benefit of this action feature in the toy. This should be sticking down quite a bit. It should be visible, noticeable from the front, and it's just not. So it's not even doing what it's supposed to do. And $170 still does not make sense to me, even in 2022. I would like this to be reasonably in 2022. I would like this to be $120 tops. 4 figures? Yeah, the figures are good. And I soundly reject the only argument, the only solid argument in favor of this price, which is, well, collect those figures and X number of years from now, you'll be able to get your full monies back by reselling those figures. Lego is not an investment vehicle. People can use it as an investment vehicle, and that's perfectly fine. But I will never do a review where I come through and tell you, you should buy this because that figure is going to be worth as much as the whole thing in 6 to 7 years or something like that. It's a toy. This is not presented as a collector's object. This is not an 18 plus set. It's not an icon set. It's not designed as an icon set. That's for sure. It's not designed as a UCS set or even a Master Builder series kind of thing. You know, it is not collector focused. It's just not. It is a toy. It is designed as a toy. If it was collector focused, I would be much, much, much more nitpicky about all the gaps and all the things that are just wrong about its design. I looked at it as a toy, as what it is, you know, somewhat advanced toy for more well-to-do folks. And you hear some rattling around. It's just the things, the thermal detonators and the lightsaber hilt in there. No biggie. But yeah, I would have been much more harsh on it were it not simply a toy. But as simply a toy, it should not be $170 US. It just, not even in 2022. I cannot accept that. I cannot justify that price for this. This doesn't make sense. It's not as ugly as I thought. Okay? I will absolutely concede that. I can completely understand people who will say right now, look at it in your hands, Jang. It is ugly. That's fine. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. I think that it's not as ugly as I thought from when I was looking at the pictures. But it is a little bit boring, and it's very wasteful. Very wasteful in many ways. So I think if you're looking for that Cad Bane figure, I'm going to very strongly suggest that you go to Bricklink, wait a little bit for more of these to get out there on the market. Go to Bricklink and you buy yourself a Cad Bane figure. Yes, it will be expensive. It's not going to cost $5. You're going to be paying a pretty penny for it. Thank you, Lego, for putting this Cad Bane figure into this very expensive set. But at least you won't be paying $170 for this. Just my personal opinion and suggestion. If you like this, that's cool. If you like what you see, if you like everything that you've seen here and you think it's worth it, that's okay. I'm not going to fight you about it. But I am definitely going to say, if you're on the fence, use your money for something better. If you think you have to get this, if there's just a FOMO factor that's pushing you to get this, but you're not in love with it, please hold back, wait. Hopefully at some point maybe 6 months down the line or so, these will start to go on clearance. There's no way this is going to sell well. There is no way this is going to sell well, except to scalpers looking to flip this figure and this figure. That's it. It's just not a good product at this price. Take 50 bucks off of it, at least, then we can talk. Then it can be just a premium, high-end, expensive as Lego has always been, toy. With not the best design, but still at least not outrageously priced then. Just very high priced. I think that's all I got to say about it. Thank you for watching. Hope that you enjoyed this. Hope that it provided some insight for you, at least about like where I'm coming from, my perspective as a Star Wars fan, definitely a Lego fan. But of course, always come to your own conclusions. Make your own decisions. Thanks again for being here. I'll talk to you again soon.